Yasodhanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yasodhanandana Vrajajana Ranjana
Yashodhanandana
Yamuna Tira Panachari
Yamuna Tira Panachari
Yamuna Tira Panachari
Yamuna Tira Panachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare
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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama
That's the last 5 minutes. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama.
Take your Brahmin thread off, tie it up. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parajakacharya Ashtata Sarishta A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Srila Prabhupada ki Shri Panchatattva ki Shri Radha Madhava ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. A reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10. What's happened here? Someone changed the marker. What's the chapter titled? Flute.
21,
Chapter number?
21, text number 6.
Text number?
6.
21. 21.
Glorifying the song of Krishna's flute.
Text 6. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 21, text number 6. And the title of the chapter is The Gopis Glorify Krishna's Flute. They say if you want to please a man, you have to please the dog. If he has a dog. A lot of people have dogs here for various reasons. And if you pet the dog, feed the dog, you're more likely to please the man also. And if you disrespect the dog, the man will not be pleased, or the owner will not be pleased, let's say. So we're reading text number 6. It's a short verse we can repeat together. Iti Venuravang Rajan Sarvabhuta Manoharam Shudva Vraja Sriyaha Sarva Vanayantyaha Abhire Bire Iti Venu Ravang Rajan Sarvabhuta Manoharam Shudva Bhajastriyak Sarva Vanayantyo Bire Bire Iti Venu Ravang Rajan Sarvabhuta Manoharam Shudva Vrajasviyak Sarva Vanayantya Bire Bire Iti Venu Ravang Rajan Sarvabhuta Manoharam Shudva Vrajasviyak Sarva Vanayantyo Bire Bire Rajan Sarvabhuta Manoharam Shudva Vrajasviyak Sarva Vanayantyo Bire Bire Ajan Sarvabhuta Manoharam Shudva Vrajasviyak Sarva Vanayantyo Bire Bire Iti Venu Ram Rajan Sarvabhuta Manoharam Shudva Vrajasviyak Sarva Vanayantyo Bire Bire Iti Venu Ravang Rajan Sarvabhuta Manoharam Shudva Vrajasviyak Sarva Vanayantya Bire Bire Iti Venu Ravang Rajan Sarvabhuta Manoharam Shudva Vrajasviyak Sarva Vanayantya Bire Bire Iti Venu Ravang Rajan Sarvabhuta Manoharam Shudva Vrajasviyak Sarva Vanayantya Bire Bire Iti Venu Ravang Rajan Sarvabhuta Manoharam Shudva Vrajasviyak Sarva Vanayantya Bire Bire Iti Venu Ravang Rajan Sarvabhuta Manoharam Shudva Vrajasviyak Sarva Vanayantya Bire Bire. Ladies. Iti Venu Ravang Rajan Sarvabhuta Manoharam Shudva Vrajasviyak Sarva Vanayantyo Bire Bire Iti Venu Ravang Rajan Sarvabhuta Manoharam Shudva Vrajasviyak Sarva Vanayantyo Bire Bire Iti thus Venu Ravam, the vibration of the flute. Rajan, O King Parikshit, Sarvabhuta, of all living entities, or beings, Manakaram, stealing the minds, Shrutva, hearing, Vajastriyaha, the ladies standing in the village of Vraj, Sarvaha, all of them, Vanayantyayaha, engaged in describing, Abire bire, embrace one another. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. My comment. O King, when the young ladies in Vraj heard the sound of Krishna's flute, which captivates the minds of all living beings, they all embraced one another and began describing it. Nice verse, huh? Please. Well, we'll repeat it for the sake of imbibing it or embedding it in our consciousness. Please repeat. O King, when the young ladies of Vraj heard the sound of Krishna's flute, which captivates the minds of all living beings, they all embraced one another and began describing it. Wow. Srila Prabhupada, it's not Prabhupada's purport, it's the purport of Prabhupada's disciples, although I said Srila Prabhupada, we can always say Srila Prabhupada. In one sense it is, we hope, empowering those devotees to present the purport in a way which Srila Prabhupada will be happy. So purport. The word iti here indicates that after becoming speechless by remembering Krishna, the coward damsels then regained their composure and were thus able to ecstatically describe the sound of Krishna's flute. As a few gopis began to explain, and the other gopis realized that they shared the same ecstatic love within their hearts, all of them started embracing one another, overwhelmed with conjugal love for young Krishna. He was a young boy at this stage, huh? Maybe, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years old, by, we could say, relative measure. He's eternal. This pastime is eternal. The flute, everything is eternal. They eternally glorify the flute. It's not a temporary manifestation, as we see in the material world. People may glorify somebody, and the same person they glorify a few years later, they're criticizing. Or some particular activity you may like, and then you don't like. In the material world, things are always changing. In any case, what is it that's being glorified is nothing but a reflection of the spiritual world. And because of the interaction of the three modes of nature and time influence, although it's eternal in terms of its original object, the reflection is constantly changing. It may be the same object which it's reflected from, but it looks completely different because it's coming through the effects of the modes of nature. Similarly, a person, we say, oh, they're very different because they're being affected by a different mode of nature, but they're actually the same person. What we're seeing is only reflection. Their behavior, their activities, their whatever, even the way they look, may change according to the mode of nature which is affecting us. In the spiritual world, it's also, you could say, things appear to be changing. The moods of the gopis, and Radha and Krishna, the pastimes, but they're all eternal. It's hard to conceive of when we're in ignorance. Person in ignorance or person in sleep cannot understand what a waking condition is. Sleeping condition is similar. When we're waking, we think we're conscious, we think we more or less know what's going on. But when we're asleep, we're completely lost, and we don't remember our waking condition. We identify with the dream that we're in as a reality. And our whole psychophysical condition is, especially the mental condition, psychic condition, is very much affected. And we identify with that situation, even though we're not very conscious, we're in a dream state, but we're conscious and we identify with that state. And that's, to us, that is the reality. Then it changes, and a totally different reality is manifest, so-called reality, or picture of reality, perverted picture. And that is based upon our daytime activities in this and previous lifetimes. We can't always identify it with this lifetime. It goes back since the time we've been conditioned, in a sense, in this material world. So you can't really always relate it to our present situation, certainly not, generally speaking, at least. Analyze if there's any significance in this. It's a dream. The whole material world is a dream for the soul. Waking dream, sleeping dream. And as long as we're in ignorance of our real life, our real nature, then we remain in this dreamlike condition. People may think that this pastime of Krishna and the gopis and his playing his flute is nothing different than a material activity. Just like in this world, maybe music is very prominent throughout the world. Every culture, every country, every generation, especially in the human form of life, we could say maybe somewhat there in other species, but not to the same extent. The sound of music is very captivating, life-changing in some cases, very important in people's lives. They pay a lot of money, they make a lot of effort to associate with various sounds, which they are attracted to. Most of you here are younger. Well, all of you are younger if you compare to myself in terms of material body. But some of you are in your 20s. I don't know if anyone's younger than that. Some of you 30s, some 40s. You may have different tastes for music, I don't know. I'm not going to ask you what the latest fashion in music is. In our time, back in the 60s, 70s, of course, there were many, many famous musicians, but probably the Beatles were the most famous. Most people were attracted and may still be attracted to their music. I think they're still popular, I don't know. Rolling Stones were probably the next most popular group, probably. Bob Dylan, probably next. Jimi Hendrix, like that, famous group. Moody, huh? I was just going to say Pink Floyd next. But they were a little more psychedelic. The different music was attracting different people. For the elder generation, they may have appreciated to some extent the Beatles, but generally they had no interest in all of this. They were attracted to Frank Sinatra, Bing Crosby, and if they're a little bit later, Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley is God. That was a slogan you saw everywhere. Crazy people. Crazy man. But what to do? So many other characters come and go. Their music may carry on for a few people, for a few while, being attractive. But it's relative. It is relative to the sound of Krishna's flute. All the sound vibrations descending through the modes of nature perverted come out in various ways. In fact, one time I was in Bhuvaneshwar in Orissa. One devotee there was a student, teacher of music, and he actually described that modern rock music is a perverted reflection of the raga of the rasa dance, which evokes in the material world selfish, self-centered sexual emotions. In the spiritual world, just like Krishna's flute, is evoking absolute attraction for Krishna, unimpeded attraction for Krishna. Their attraction for Krishna flows. There's no stopping it. It's completely, captured. Their hearts are completely captured. They have no other thought or attraction. Sometimes in the material world, for a short while, we become infatuated with something. Sometimes when a boy and girl, they're in love, as we call it. And you can't really, their minds are just so much captivated by that thought or that attraction. They can't pay their attention to what they're doing. Or they lose their lover. You sometimes see, I've just had a recent experience, one of my disciples left his body a few weeks ago, Indian gentleman, and his wife you can't talk to her. This will go on for months. She can think of nothing else except for her husband. She can't sleep, she can hardly eat. It's just gone crazy, in one sense, with, separation. Lasts for some time. It's, okay, they're devotees, mostly, initiated. Nice devotees, but this attachment to you could say the reflection, the physical form, is so intense. It's the nature of the living entity to be attracted. We've got to be attracted to something, right? What are you feeling attraction for right now? I can see some of you are feeling attraction for sleep. The mode of ignorance, right? The mode of ignorance is becoming attractive. Some of you are thinking of eating. The mode of passion is rising. Some of you are trying not to think at all. Really in the mode of ignorance. And some of you may be trying to understand what the heck's he talking about. I don't understand a word of this. I'm not even listening to a word anyway. So it's not surprising I don't understand one. All sorts of things going on inside there. You're irritated, agitated. Maybe you're thinking of something else altogether. You're thinking of, I don't know what you're thinking of. Something elsewhere in the world. Who knows? You're thinking of, Pink Floyd. We have to be attracted to something. We're thinking about our own body. Oh my God, I'm going to have to clean my nails. Oh my goodness, what's that wrinkle doing on my finger? Oh my goodness, am I getting old? Oh, what's happening here? Oh, my watch, it's not right. It's 1 minute fast. Oh dear, I hope no one looks at my tilak. It's not very nice. The mind. Not easy to focus on one thing for long. Although we're attracted, then we're attracted to that. Some things longer than others. But attraction, when it awakens to Krishna, is eternal, unimpeded, uninterrupted. There is variety there. But it's always Krishna. It's always Krishna. Nature of the soul. Krishna is all attractive. Everything about him is all attractive. His toenails, his fingernails, his nose, his teeth, his belly, his navel, his thighs, everything, his hands, his lotus hands, palms of his hands. His eyes, what speak of his eyes. Huh? And the sound of his flute, even his fladia is all attractive because it's totally attracted to Krishna. The sound is totally attractive. Why? Because it is totally connected to Krishna. And it totally reminds them of Krishna. Just like a pure devotee of the Lord reminds you of Krishna, right? Unless you're thinking of your goat, as we heard yesterday. But that person was probably not a pure devotee of the Lord. You may have a long beard. That doesn't make you a pure devotee of the Lord because you've got a beard. Right? Where's your beard? No beard? African people don't keep beards as much. They don't keep beards. Some do, but not many. Some old men sometimes. Some modern Africans, but very rare. They keep clean shave more. In Philippines, they don't grow beards as much either. Maybe you can't grow beards, I don't know. Pardon? The weather's too hot, is it? Okay. Too hot. You okay? Some people are attracted to beards. But we're all attracted to something. Nature of the soul. So it's a matter of to what we're attracted. This microphone is attracted to the garland. I don't know, it keeps going down to the garland, and maybe it likes the smell of the garland. So by hearing the attraction of the gopis for the flute of Krishna, this is the secret. If we want to change our attraction, just like in the material, we go through different stages in life, and kids, and youth, and what have you. And by nature, a child is not really attracted to sex life. Hasn't awoken. Maybe sort of subtly, but not in reality. But when they reach puberty, it's almost, in most cases, almost automatic. They don't know what's going on, but suddenly there's this attraction for something they didn't know what existed. And their attraction changes. Even music, you see little kids, they're not necessarily listening to Pink Floyd, 2-year-old kid. They're listening to different type of music, right? They're not like, whatever, Beatles fans or something. They have some simple song, nursery rhymes. Bill and Ben, the flower pot man, dum 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 dum. Some like catchy little tune, that they can relate with. But if a 15-year-old boy is still listening to that, you think, something wrong with this guy. It's okay. And even if you're 80 years old, and you may be, and in fact you probably are, still listening to the same music that you were listening to when you were 18 years old, you may well be. It sticks with us from that age usually. But the older generation is not. My parents hated it when I would put all this music on. My father wasn't. My mother, turn that rubbish off. It's rubbish. He couldn't stand it. People say that about the kirtan sometimes, that they can't stand it. They put their bigger than their ears. They complain. I don't think it was quite like that. Yesterday we were chanting underneath that university place. Maybe that's kind of a little different. Maybe they liked it, and maybe that was the problem. Maybe they liked it. Maybe they were not being attentive to their teachers. Maybe. One time in Paris, there's this one area in Paris. We go quite often on Harinam. And one devotee was chanting there. Krishna Kripa, maybe, I don't know if he's ever been here. Famous world traveler and Sankirtan. He goes out minimum every day of the year, minimum 3 hours on Harinam, wherever he is. Even if it happens to be in an airport, he'll still do his 3 hours. Minimum. He comes to Paris every year for 1 or 2 months. And he was chanting outside a hospital. The hospital security came out and said, look, you have to go away. You're disturbing the patients. There, They're terminally, I can't remember exactly, but they're like terminally sick. It was near a really serious hospital. And they were having difficulty. They were kind of, disturbing. They were all on their deathbeds. He said, you're disturbing them. They're becoming enlivened. They're meant to die. Go away. I told them to get lost. Go away from here. Many times people complain, huh? And maybe you hear a little bit, not in the West a lot, you know. You go one place, then we stay there more than a minute. Somebody's complained. Police are coming along. Right? Hey, can I?
We receive
buckets of water, sometimes even worse than that. We used to receive, we've gone Harinam in London, 1972, I remember one of the first times I went on that route, down Shaftesbury Avenue towards the city centre from our temple, and there was this one person on the 4th or 5th floor would save up his urine to throw it out the window. So we knew how to avoid it, but he was eager to throw the urine out, you know. Sometimes they throw bottles of beer at us, you know. Rotten tomatoes were a delight. They were good. We could, save it for later. All kinds of things they throw at us. I've had bricks thrown at us. All sorts of things. Some people don't appreciate. But then they're making so much noise. Bam, 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 bam. And they're listening to this, right? In north of Paris, at the windows, they like to keep their windows of the cars open. There's this huge speakers inside blasting out this sound. They walk along the streets sometimes with these massive sound systems, blasting in full volume. You walk along the high street, nobody says anything. And we're chanting Hare Krishna, go away. You're making a noise. Disturbing us. So much in the mode of ignorance, huh? What to do? We're saying, how much attraction do we really have for Krishna? How much attraction do you have for the Bhagavatam? How many of you have read all 12 cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam? 3 hands have gone up. Maybe 4. It's kind of shy behind an arm there. 5? Where's the 5th? No! Really? All 12 cantos? Yes. And the purports? Yes. And the word for word? Yes.
For 24 years in this school.
24 years! Let's see. How many of us read every day? I mean, Prabhupada's books. You can read, maybe read something else. Vishaka, Haribol, good to see you. Nice to see you. We could probably be we may not have too much attraction, but in the material world also. I mean, I don't know about you, but we became a little bit attracted, let's say, to drinking. I don't mean water. You know what I mean. Drinking San Miguel? No, what do you call it here? Fire water? That sounds a bit underground. Don't they have, what's the name of the beer that they like in it? Is it San Miguel? Huh? Sam? I think it's the same thing in English, I think it's San Miguel. So, there's supposed to be some saint, I think. Huh? A saint? So, he's very popular. I don't know if he was the origin of this substance, but very popular. And initially, you may not be very attracted. Tastes horrible. I've never tasted it, but I'm talking about beer in general. After a while, you associate and some kind of taste develops. Huh? One time, Prabhupada gave that example, didn't he? One devotee said, Srila Prabhupada, how can I get a taste for chanting? You've heard this, some of you. what Prabhupada said? He said, how do you get a taste for chanting? He said, how do you get a taste for drinking liquor? You associate with drunkards, you drink, and you also become a drunkard. In the association of drunkards. Says similarly, you associate with chanters, you chant, you become enchanted. Association. We become, by association with the modes of nature, we develop various attractions. You don't have to go far to read what happens then. It's in the Bhagavad Gita. This entangles us, causes us to fall down into material existence, basically. When we come into the material world, you're pure. You associate with the modes of nature, you become attracted to the forms that are before you, and we fall into various species of life. Become entangled. By association. Everything depends on association. So the gopis are giving their association here. And if we hear this subject matter, the more submissive we are. It's just like there may be a cockroach sitting, listening also, I don't know. I haven't seen. Where have all the cockroaches gone? I'm missing my cockroaches. I've only seen 1 or 2 cockroaches. I see one dead in the room I'm in up there. And I saw one yesterday somewhere. But I miss it. I went into the kitchen at 1 o'clock in the morning looking for my friends. They weren't there anymore. Couldn't find them anywhere. I asked Paran yesterday, where are they gone? They gone on pilgrimage. It's a holy week, isn't it? They gone on pilgrimage, the cockroaches? Where have all the cockies gone? I haven't even seen one rat yet. I don't know what I'm really feeling out of place here. But maybe there's one hiding away listening over in the corner somewhere. You saw one yesterday. I saw one yesterday too. Maybe it was the same one. Maybe the same one. You used to have, you couldn't see the floor for cockroaches. Did you know that? Sometimes in the middle of the night here, practically. You go in that back kitchen. You couldn't walk on the floor. There were thousands and thousands of cockroaches on the floor. And rats this big. The cats would run for their life if a rat came along. Yeah, you associate with rats, you become a rat. That depends on how many you associate with. When we associate with material sound vibrations, people with material motivations, we associate, we listen to them. Oh, that's nice. Then you'll start to think like that too. If you listen to all this rubbish, we'll start to also think rubbish. Listen to mundane music, our attraction will be taken away from Krishna. If you read all these mundane topics, things we were into before, or others are into now, then our mind will become taken away in time. Your attraction will go there. We'll lose our attraction for Krishna. This is the, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, the primary way, let me ask questions, why is it that some people are not seemingly so attracted? He said it's because they're still attracted to the material world. They're associating with the material world in the mind, or even externally, watching things online, mundane movies, mundane subject matters. Some things you have to learn or know because of your occupation, or just to know where you're going. You have to sometimes, obviously, have some knowledge of what's going on around us, but not more than is necessary. Anything more than that becomes sense gratification, and it will captivate us and will be dragged away, or our enthusiasm for devotional service will diminish, we'll start developing doubts, and gradually we'll be drawn away from the ultimate object of attraction. That's how the material world works. And others who are absorbed in the material world, they want you to become absorbed too. Misery loves company. They don't like people to get away. They want you to also surrender to the... This is Kali, this is the material energy. People are just, you could say, instruments of that. They don't even know. They know nothing else. They're totally absorbed in what they're attracted to. They have no time for Krishna consciousness. They're absorbed. They're absorbed in looking in the shop windows. They're absorbed in their girlfriend, boyfriend. They're absorbed in whatever. Things are going on around them. Isn't it? You see it everywhere. It's not just here or there. It's everywhere, isn't it? In France, right? You see that? They don't even recognize your presence. Excuse me, sir, they just walk by as if you don't exist. Isn't it? Many times. And if you're lucky, they say they have no mercy or no money. And then you see them sitting in McDonald's, spending so much money. No money. And then 2 minutes later, they're sitting there eating one thing after another. Or they come out of a shop with a big bag of clothes or perfume or something. The latest gadget. They have no attraction. They're attracted to rubbish. It's all rubbish, isn't it? It's all tickets to hell. I mean, they're attracted, they don't know it, but they're attracted to things which are really against their good interest. Cars, infatuated men many times, infatuated with cars. They read magazines and books on it. Sport. They read day and night sometimes. But Krishna consciousness? No. Not even one word. Sometimes they say, has it got anything about sex in the book? If it tells you how to have sex, I'm interested. Yes, it does. Adiras, the original, the highest sexual pleasure. Really? Then they open the book and they say, the gopis glorify Krishna's flute? What is this? It's nothing to do with sex. People are so covered over by the modes of nature, but they want to be as you desire. How to evoke that desire is by association. We become covered by association. We can become released. Prabhupada gives the example of a thorn. You have a thorn stuck in you. You can release it with another thorn. Same principle. The Sangamajaram Parsham. Every learned man knows that the greatest entanglement in this world is our attraction for the sense objects. That same attraction, when channeled or dovetailed towards the pure devotees of Lord, is the cause of our release from this world. Nothing wrong with attraction. It's the nature of the soul. If we can't hear Krishna's flute, but we can hear, you could say, whatever, we can hear the mundane reflection, but we can also hear that sound in the form of kirtan, or the voice, the words of a pure devotee. They're also in the same vein as the sound of Krishna's flute. They're Krishna's representatives, his tadiya, his paraphernalia, appearing in various ways within this world. Krishna's flute is also a great devotee of the Lord, not just a flute which people like. It's a personality. Many flutes, they're all different individuals, all with a similar bhav or similar nature of service to Krishna. The flute is a very attractive instrument. I may have mentioned the other day, I can't remember. But even materially speaking, the flute is held in very high esteem in terms of the effect of its sound. Very special instrument. And it's so simple. One of the most simple instruments on the planet, isn't it? Just a bamboo stick with some holes in it, basically. And it makes this sublime sound. It just takes you on, materially speaking, if you really tune in, you can do different things with a flute, but in general, it takes one to a different kind of state of consciousness, practically. Even materially. I was very attracted to flute music when I was a kid. South American flute music especially. never heard Indian. And then one time we were in Bangladesh, in Dhaka, and somebody, all night long, they were playing the flute. I couldn't sleep, you know. It's so, you just hear this sound of someone in the neighborhood playing the flute all night long. It was incredible. I don't know who they were. It was just mystical, really mystical. Very mystical. It does. It has some mystic. We may misuse it, but it has a mystical. Even in this reflected world, it's not absolute, but it's still mystical sound, which affects people's consciousness. Everyone knows that sound vibration can change our moods, can change our consciousness. But unfortunately, the material world is just from one mode to the other, from one cell to the other, that's all. But the transcendental sound can take us out of the material world altogether. And our attraction for Krishna starts to awaken. The more we associate with transcendental sound, the more chance there is that our attraction will grow and it will become absolute. We'll have no attraction for the material world. You can't just stop your attraction for the material world, because the soul by nature is attracted to something. It may be the negative form of attraction, but we're attracted to not having anything to do with the material world. That's another form of attachment or attraction. We have to become attracted to the positive, original, the beautiful form of Krishna, everything about him. His name, form, quality, pastimes of Krishna. That's what this movement's for. To help all conditioned souls, no matter who they are, even the animals, to unknowingly become attracted towards Krishna in different forms, prasadam or something or another. There was a little dog on Harinam yesterday. He didn't take the... Well, popcorn may not be dog's cup of tea, so to speak. We don't have anything else. If biscuit, it would have probably eaten it. But the little dog was quite attracted. Yeah? The little dog. But he was literally up on his back two legs with his two forehands up like this, jumping around there for quite a while. As a kirtan, we stopped him right in front of this little dog, jumping up and down on his back legs, hands up. And very sweet. I mean, it was like, you could almost see it was smiling, practically speaking. Dogs can express their moods in their face a little bit. And some attraction was there, huh? Fortunate dog. And the humans have sat there, you know. So the dog was more attractive than the humans. So it sometimes happens. More innocent in one sense. Not so recovered, but not so, say, infatuated with this and that. Simpler. Some another to attract us to Krishna. That's the idea. That's why decorating the deity very beautifully attracts people. They may not know what is this. Come in there, they're dirty and boring looking and nothing there. No attraction. We were discussing that this morning, a painting on one of our books. It's a kind of attractive from the color point of view, but it's not attracting you to Krishna. It doesn't look like Krishna at all. It looks like a statue. No, dead face. It's right on one of our main books, front cover. Okay, it maybe attracts some people from the point of view of they like the painting because it's a bit psychedelic. But the whole idea is to. I remember one time we were in Auckland Temple, and we used to have these groups of old people coming regularly on a mystery tour, because our temple in Auckland is in the, there's a lot of wineries in the same area, a lot of horticulture. So they take the old people to the winery and they have a meal and a drink of wine, and Then they take them to buy all these nice fruits straight from the fields. And then they visit the famous Riverhead pub, the oldest pub in the Auckland district. All these holy places they take them to on pilgrimage. They're like 80 years old people mostly. And because we're in that area, they usually bring them to the Hare Krishna temple as well, as a surprise. They don't know until they get there where they're going. A mystery tour. They come in. We had a whole system for it. First of all, we welcome them, tell them a little bit about what's going on, take them on a tour of the farm. They love the school, seeing all these bright-faced little kids in our school. And we show them the farm a little bit, if there is one there still. Show them a bit about the farm, and they like the animals and stuff. Then we bring them back to the temple, and then, only then do we open the curtains, after they're a little bit softened, And, they see the deities, because they're usually of Christian background, many of them Protestants. So deities to them are really not something they can relate to. But again and again, because they're so beautiful, so many of them will say, oh, you hear them, oh, isn't that beautiful? Can I take a picture? They say. So many of them. They become attracted to the deity, not like permanent, but, momentarily attracted. And then after that, we give them prasadam. Old people. And they can't, and the most popular dish amongst them is halava and cream. Not the best food for an 80-year-old, person who can hardly breathe. But some of them, better they die of halava and cream. Not that we do that. Attraction there. They come back for more. Can you give me more of that one? That's lovely. Can you give me some more of that? I was cooking in the restaurant in Adelaide one time. And we had a group of vegans. This is quite a way back. This is 1991? Probably 1991. And they're all vegans, so we cooked everything vegan. Veganism was very rare in those days, in a sense. So we cooked this vegan prasadam. We made one non-vegan dish. We made halava. Halava and cream, I think, or halava and custard, I can't remember what. Something with it. So we told them all, this is not vegan, this is for anyone who comes to the restaurant who's not vegan. So they didn't take it, but, the smell was so captivating. The hot, flavored halava has this sweet fragrance. It's wafted. And one of them, when everyone else has sat down, one of them sneaked back to the line there and said, it smells so good. Can you just give me a little bit? Just a little bit. Give me a little bit. Whoa. Made sure no one else was looking. Can you give me some more? And one by one, they all came up and took the halava, They became attracted. It's irresistible. Krishna is irresistible, but, you've got to taste it. The proof of the pudding is in the tasting, the sweetness. Somehow or another, they may be attracted to the sound, but the prasadam, somehow or another, to attract people to Krishna in one form or another. And we have to become attracted. To the degree we're attracted, we'll be freed from our attraction to the mundane objects of the senses. You don't have to fight against it. It's a higher attraction, a higher taste, param drishva navartate, higher taste. What do you think? Jagabandhu, what do you think? Pardon? What do you say? Huh? You don't know?
I cannot understand because mother usually talk to me.
Well, that's because you're sitting next to the door. Huh? Oh, I see. Well, does anyone else? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? About what we've been talking about? Make any sense or not?
Yes, a lot of sense.
Yes, Chaitanya. We told it yesterday with Danurdas, the wrestler, with his girlfriend. We told that in class yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
There you go. Anything else? That's like an extreme example because of the topmost pure devotee was able to cause that transformation practically on the spot. It may take a little longer in most cases. Sometimes people on the spot, boom. I remember Einder tells that story. When Einder was an eccentric person even before he became a devotee. He lived in Washington, D.C. area. And one time he was in the city center, a musician. He was a musician. And he heard this sound, and it was the sound of the Harinam party. He never heard it before. He never heard of it. When he heard that sound, he suddenly, wow! He just like threw everything down and just ran after the party and just went straight back to the temple with them. It doesn't usually happen so quickly like that. He even lost his shoe on the way. Didn't care. Yes, Pitambar.
I was gonna ask if the person has really strong material condition.
Is you're a long way away, and I can hear bits and pieces. Unless there's another mic so that your sound or your voice, or your sweet voice can be heard. You have such a sweet voice.
If the person has a really strong material conditioning, how will he have a higher taste?
If he has strong material conditioning,
Yes.
takes time, doesn't it? It takes time usually. That's why most people don't, everyone here, somehow or another, for whatever reason it is, but we're fortunate that the attraction is not so, say, embedded, or we've had a miserable experience sometimes. Krishna says different people come to me. Sometimes we suffer so much we're simply looking for some relief. We may not be actually attracted to Krishna consciousness, but we're checking it out. That doesn't last unless we develop an attraction. Sometimes the attraction is negative, but we talk positively here. So how does it attract? It develops by association over a period of time. They get their little drop, agata sukriti, their initial connection. They may not even be aware of it. They may not even like it. I'll give a story. This man was in Moscow. Some of you, who's been to Moscow? You haven't been to Moscow. Okay, well, Moscow, if you probably know, it's in Russia, capital. So this was in Russia, in Moscow. And this man was an atheist, nothing unusual. And he really did not, he was a businessman. And he worked in the city center, and regularly the devotees would be doing Harinam near his office. He was really, he didn't like it. He would just, crazy nuisance, like this, these people. But he would see them regularly on Harinam. He didn't like it, because he had no choice. He had to walk out his office to the restaurant or home or bus or something. And he really didn't like it. It's a true story. And one day, he was driving his car somewhere, and he had a severe accident. And he went into a coma, completely into a coma. And in the coma, he recollected what he could remember. Suddenly, he remembered finding himself in this hellish situation. He was a drinker too. Smoker, drinker, meat eater, everything, you name it. And suddenly he found himself in this hellish situation. And then he found himself faced with like a judge in front of him. So, show us the records, the judge said. This sin, that sin, this sin. It was like a jamil or something. So many sins. Nasty liar, cheat, cruel, atheist, smoker, drinker, sexmonger, you name it. Quite attached, quite conditioned, right? And then the judge said to the secretary, isn't there anything good in his life? Is it all black? And he looked deeper and deeper. He said, well, a minute, there's one thing here. Oh, he regularly saw the Harinam party on the street. The judge said, what? Yes, my lord. He regularly saw the Harinam party on the street. My goodness, this makes a difference. What did he do? He cursed them. Okay. So, Mr. So-and-so, because you regularly saw the party, even if you did curse them, I'm going to give you a chance. Now, he wasn't dead. He was in a coma. Said, I'll give you a chance. I'll bring you out of this coma. But you only live and be relieved of the suffering you're due if you change your attitude. You have to go to the temple of the Krishnas. And he did. He came out of the coma and he went to the temple. And he became a devotee. A book distributor. We had another example in London, 1972, or 71 actually. Just as I was coming, we would go to Portobello Road, which is a famous market in London. If any of you have been to London, you may know about it. It's a Sunday morning market. In those days, it was in Notting Hill Gate, which was where the hippies, it was like all the hippie people would hang out. So it was an alternate market. All kinds of people would hang out there. But anyway, the fellows would go there because there was lots of good customers there. So there's one guy in the market. He had a fruit stall. And fruit and veg. And he really hated it. He was a Christian. He worked in a bank in London. And he really, really didn't like us. He used to throw rotten tomatoes at us every time we go by. And shout at us. You're the representative of the devil! You're going to hell! He would scream. It was going on like this. And no matter what they did, they would go this way. They would find us, throwing rotten tomatoes at us and shout his head off. He didn't like us. So, so-called Christian. One day his wife was there. Now his wife was a really gentle lady. And a Christian, of course. And then she saw her husband going into a rage. She said, you can't do that. I don't care who they are. That's not how a Christian behaves. She kind of, got on his case. And so he kind of stopped doing it, He kind of cooled down after his wife would get on his case. And then she said, you've got to apologize to these people. You can't treat anyone like this. She was quite strong-natured, although very gentle. I said, no way am I going to apologize. They're worshippers of the devil. But she was insistent. You could look henpecked. She insisted. And she actually took him to apologize to the devotees at the temple. Can you believe it? And he said, you'll see what devil worshippers and horrible people they are when you meet them. But she had a completely different experience. They treated her like God. They welcomed her as if she was a best friend or a brother or a sister. And it was going on. But she was looking at her husband and said, nice people, what's wrong with this? Why do you do like this? All right, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. I promise, I won't do it again. So he didn't do it again. The devotees would come by, he'd just be indifferent. But after a while, the devotees were giving him and his wife gifts. Nice prasadam, whatever, different little gifts. And after some more weeks, they were happily receiving the gifts. And after a few weeks more, they were giving us tomatoes, free of charge. After a few more weeks, they started coming to the temple. After a few more months, we got initiated together by Prabhupada. He became a full-time devotee with his wife. Didn't take long. Started off by throwing tomatoes at the devotees. Let's see. Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement is very universally beneficial. You can't always see the quick transformation like that. The very special things like that do happen, and they've happened to all of us to some degree, you could say. Transformation. It takes association, it takes time, but it works. With some, it takes longer. When we were in South Africa one time, we were in Pretoria, we did this drama, street drama. And it's the drama, I know what the title is, I can't remember, I haven't seen it for decades. But it's about the Sankirtan party are on one side of the river and the materialists are on the other side of the river. And it's just like you're doing kirtan, and on the other side of the road, you know, the karmis are like, some of them are waving, some of them are indifferent, you know, everyone's indifferent. In that drama, directed, but I took the role of the most angry of all. I was a white, you know, South African businessman. I dressed up like a businessman with a briefcase. I had a packet of full cigarettes in my pocket. I even had a bottle of liquor with me. It wasn't real liquor, but it looked like liquor bottle. And we had this all arranged that nobody knew. We had kirtan, and suddenly everything stopped, and these ladies, 2 or 3 ladies, held the saris like this, you know, as if it was the water. And the devotees were on the other side of the saris, the blue and white saris, going like this. And all the public were all like gathered on. They all gathered up. What the heck's going on here? You know, those are the days people used to be attracted to something different, you know. Not so much now, but then so they all gathered, hundreds of people gathered around, and I was in the middle of the crowd, looking at this, whatever's going on here. And suddenly I burst out the crowd in the forefront. I started screaming, "You nonsense, get out of here! This is Pretoria! Go away!" And I threw this cigarette at them, and my bottle, all the liquid went flying out. It was just water, but it looked like liquor. It went all over them. And I smashed the bottle and stormed off in anger. Everyone was silent, you know. They thought it was a real thing. And the next one came, next devotee manifested amongst the crowd. 3 of us were in the crowd. And they were, "Oh, this is interesting. What do you think about this? It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, let's check it out." And they went into the water. Well, they weren't real water, but they imagined they went into the water. But they had big bags on their backs. And they drowned in the water. They couldn't make it. Because they had this big bag of attachments on their back. They were looking back. Oh, you know, what about... Oh, they were looking at all the other things too. So they couldn't make it to the other side. Then the 3rd person came along. And they had a bag on their back. And they looked to the Harinam. They looked back and forth like this. And then they thought, this is for me. They threw the bag off and they reached the other side. And they became a member of the Kirtan party. So the Lord Chaitanya's movement is so good. Even if you do have a bag, there's still a possibility that you can be on the party. Somebody will help you with it. The association of devotees. And there's accommodation for many bags. You want to be married, you want to carry on with your job, you like mundane things still, so a bit mixed, but it's not all or nothing. It's not all or nothing. People used to think you had to be everything or nothing. I can't be like that. Walking around like this with a bald head and a bit of hair hanging out the back and strange clothes and spending all my day long singing the same thing and eating cabbage leaves. I can't do that. Sleeping on the floor, oh no way. I can't be a Hare Krishna. People's pictures of Hare Krishnas were just like you 3 guys. That was it. Hare Krishna meant that, nothing else. And many people still have that idea. Not as many, but still many. They don't realize that you can live at home with your family, and you may still, although we're not encouraging you to do that, compromise, but in a compromised situation, and still becoming attracted to Krishna consciousness. It just takes a little longer, it's a slower path. So it's not all or nothing, and they're starting to realize that, you can actually have hair and still be a Hare Krishna devotee. You can wear pants and coat and you can be a Hare Krishna devotee. You can work in an office or whatever and be a Hare Krishna devotee. You can have kids and you can be a Hare Krishna devotee. This is not impossible by any means. In fact, it's 99.9% the case worldwide of devotees. How many live as brahmacharis in the ashram? How many? You've seen in temples you've been to, in many Western temples, there are no brahmacharis. I don't know. And if there are, they're usually Indian brahmacharis who are just there to do the daily worship and nothing else at all. And you have to pay them to do it, by the way. They're not really brahmacharis at all. Pardon? Paid pujaris. They're just waiting to get their green card so they can stay in Australia or America, and then they're out of the temple to get a job and to try to find an Aussie girlfriend. So it's a ticket to Maya. You don't find many brahmacharis in India, you do, but not many places nowadays. We have a real brahmacharis here. 3 real brahmacharis sitting here. Selfless, dedicated preachers. You are brahmachari grihastha. Probably use that term, brahmachari grihastha, because you're serious about your duty, your devotion. It doesn't matter. Even if there's a little baggage there, you can still be a part of the party. Come on, Harinam. Lord Chaitanya's Harinam Sankirtan welcomed. Even drunkards join us. Everyone's welcome. Yes, Chaitanya.
You were saying about people on the street. They still have this conception that Hare Krishna movement is only for celibates. I think they have this understanding.
A lot of people do.
Usually the people who they issue books, usually they're monks, or they're dressed like this.
Or their brahmacharinas.
Yeah. So they have this conception that there's no family life.
You don't work, you don't have a family, you don't do anything.
So I have many cases when I was in Australia. One time recently, just last month, a guy, I stopped him, he just caught eyes, and then he stopped. And then I gave him a book and he said, I would rather be joining you guys in the chanting and dancing because it looks like more fun than what I'm doing. And he was with I think his family was there, but just a bit away or something.
Probably.
And then I was like, no, it's not like that at all. You don't have to be a monk or practice celibacy. You can have a family, have your children. They can also come. Why don't you invite them also?
There's a big subject matter to this. It includes how we present Krishna consciousness. It includes how we incorporate what they need in our temples and preaching. Because you brought up children. Now, if children come here, for instance, what are they going to do? One of the keys for many people who are, let's say, periphery interest, are the children. The children and Christianity spreads mainly through convincing children or attracting children, not convincing them. The parents automatically follow suit. But we have nothing for the children, practically speaking. You don't have any facilities here. So when you move into the new land, the essential thing is to make sure there is good facility for the children. Playground, rooms, creche, whatever is required. It's more important than basically anything else in terms of extra facilities. The children are so important. They become attracted. That's why it's very important to give children prasadam and give them a good impression when they're young, on the street. They'll never forget it. They'll never forget it. Hare Krishnas are my friends. Very important. No matter who they are, they're mostly going to grow up, and they're going to be working or living in the material world, and they're going to impress others, and they're going to be assistants to the movement if they like you, some way or another. So even if you're doing a book, that person had a good impression. Hey, come on, man, These are good people. You should take the book. When I was a kid, they used to give me prasadam every day. They're really nice people. I really like them. You should buy the book. They'll be like that. Even if they're in another world, they'll still have a good impression. There are many stories like that. Many, many stories. Even Steve Jobs, is it? Steve Jobs. He was quite a high-profile example of that. And there were many, many, many examples of the impression they got. So, you know, in our temple, it's just one example. That's why I say it's such a big subject matter of how to open the door so that people can understand that Krishna consciousness is not a cult, it's a state of consciousness which is natural to all living entities. It's not just some weird cult that's having a good time. It's the nature of the soul. It doesn't depend upon dress or place. That's just to facilitate realization or facilitate the dissemination of knowledge. But it's not the point of it. A vehicle. But people identify with a vehicle, they don't identify with the contents within. They have no access. Okay, we're finished there for today. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. We're going to Kalashal tomorrow morning early. And today we're going to Kalawokan. On Harinam, I believe. I don't know. What is the program? Harinam and then what? Pardon? Rupa, what's the program? Are you there? Can you inform us of the program? 5 p.m. we're having Harinam in Kalawokan. Afterwards, what is it? What's that? Lecture. Okay, someone told me there's food for life also. At the same time as Harinam or separate? Huh? In the plaza. They're going to do food for life before the Harinam? After. So I don't know. Some manner this is all going to happen at the same time. Harinam, food for life and lecture all at the same time. And we're serving devotees prasadam all at once. Okay? They're very expert, very dexterous, very multitaskers, the devotees from Kalawokan. Very exciting group of devotees. Very nice devotees. Yeah. Some of them are here today. Rupa Vilas is from that group. Who else is from Kalawokan group? Anyone else came from the Kalawokan group originally? You're not from the Kalawokan group. You got your hand up. Oh, you're scratching your hand. There are others whom we will meet this evening. Okay, thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vishaka Priya. Come. You look great. Come. Are you here staying for a while, or you just come in for the day?
Yeah, I will just come, and then if it is like free for me, then I'll come. Because I have work Guru Maharaj.
Are you working in Manila?
For sometimes Guru Maharaj.
Where are you staying?
Still in Batangas.
You have to come every day from there to work?
Yeah, whenever you will be here in Makati, then I'll try to come.
Oh, that's nice. A long way. 2 hours?
Yeah, most
At least.
probably.
Minimum, too.
Yeah.
Do you want to have a... Maybe we can... You wanted to see me? You want to talk about things, I think. Yeah?
Not much, Guru Maharaj, but I want just to have a darshan with you because my time is like so limited. Because I always coming from Batangas.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
You got your little boy. How old is he now? 3, 4?
6.
Ooh,
Yeah, going to
6.
school.
I remember I was there when the name-giving ceremony.
Yeah,
Doesn't seem that long ago.
Yeah, Brajaram, because they didn't bring in the Laguna because he's in school 5 times in a week.
Okay.
And his time is like 10 to 12. So I always drop him and then get him. Like I wait for him in the school.
In Brush?
No, Guru Maharaj, in the school nearby to our house.
You live where? In Tanawan?
Yeah, in Tanawan, in Hanopol, inside.
Yeah. Same place.
Yes.
Because I know you had a lot
Yeah,
of
like
trouble.
walking distance. And
During that volcano, you had to vacate, right? You had to get out.
yes, we vacate the place because we are surrounded in 6
Ash.
ashfall, and then we stay in our cousin in Parañaque, like for 1 month, and then for 1 month we moved to Calamba
Oh,
because they think we cannot go inside our house.
wow.
There's so much ash.
Now it's okay.
Yes,
Dangerous.
everything like and then every time the volcano like they do signal that they will all again explode, then everyone is like ready to vacate again.
Is it still dangerous?
Yes, because that time we don't know that it will explode.
It suddenly exploded.
Yeah, it's suddenly, and then everyone in nearby area on that volcano.
In the middle of the night, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're
At
on
nighttime?
shock.
Nighttime?
More like 6 p.m.
Early morning.
Like so many ash coming and then lava. That's why the roof on our house like damaged.
Well, it was hot ashes,
Yes,
very hot
we
ashes.
were. And then there's an ambulance, and then like announcing that vacate this area, otherwise you're gonna die. And then that time we vacate all the area.
What a shock, huh? Wow.
It's calamity. We can't do anything.
No. Just have to do what you can do. Amazing. Well, you want to take breakfast and then see me after breakfast?
Yes, go much. I will wait for your time.
Okay. You take your breakfast and I'll probably take mine.
Okay.
And then after breakfast we can have a little
Yes,
chat.
sure.
Okay.
Sure.
You're alone? You came alone? Hare Krishna
I'll
Prabhu.
stay whenever you will be.
You're not working today?
I'll leave just to see.
Nice to see you. I haven't really had much time in the last 4 or 5 years because of COVID.
Yes, go much.
Last year we did. I think we met last year, but briefly.
April.
Last April, yeah.
Right, last year.
Last year that was in the farm, in the village, wasn't it? In Eco Village. We met last